I was just saying, last episode probably we were a little bit out of our depth of field and expertise with our topic. We're probably going to reel it back into something that we feel that we've got a little bit of an understanding about. Probably got some, pre-formed opinions on stuff. And MT brought this to us. Do you want to maybe tell the people what we're talking about today, MT?
Dude, so here's the scoop. Here's the news headlines. We'll timestamp this point so people can just drop right in here.
Right.
System of a Down, first new music in like 15 years. Groundbreaking stuff. People have been on the edge of their seat. This is the most anticipated thing since Tool's latest album, and it fucking sucks balls, man. I tell you what,
it's not very good, dude. I listened to it.
Yeah,
it
the reviews, and I don't know, dude. I don't know if these are people that are they just want it to be something that it's not, but it sucks, dude. It's weak. Here's the thing, right? As soon as I heard it, my initial thought was, this sounds like something that was sitting around on the cutting room floor in Darren's home studio. So
is that the guitarist?
Yeah. So he's the principal songwriter for the band. Historically, and then when the band broke up, went on their indefinite hiatus, he formed Scars on Broadway with John Dolmayan, the drummer, and their band was fine. It was cool. I followed both his work and Serge's solo work very closely and enjoyed both of them in their own right. But it was evident that they were two fundamental components to making that band really great and sort of rounded out their sound. Their two different approaches complemented each other really well. And so hearing this, my initial thought was, this sounds like some real B-side garbage that Darren just had laying around that he demoed and never finished or refined and polished. And I read recently that it was, he intended for those tracks to be Scars on Broadway tracks. So they were just laying around, and he was like, these things are going on. And I feel like that's a problem, dude. Another good example of this is Prophets of Rage, when Tom Morello...
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah,
right?
It was everyone minus Zach, the singer. So those dudes wanted to keep going, which is all well and good, because, you're a musician, it's what you do. But they decided to continue with the guys from Cypress Hill and form Prophets of Rage, which was effectively like a karaoke band. It was just, again, straight garbage, man. And their whole justification for doing it and butchering all those great songs was, it's the time, we need it, we've got Trump in charge, it's our duty to bring these songs to the world. I'm not into it. I struggle with that. I was like, dude, it's not the same band. That'd be like doing At the Drive-In without Cedric, just because those songs are really great and we've got to do it. I disagree, man. I think you need to let a legacy remain intact.
Yeah, I agree, right? So I think there's a lot to unpack there. So
that's a big opener.
That's a lot. Okay, let's go back to Sode. So System of a Down, new tracks. I chucked them on. I definitely was like, okay, it sounds like System of a Down, which makes sense. But you're right, dude. It not only does it sound like a B-side, but it literally, at least the single that they did like a video for, or a video, whatever it was, like, it had no balls, bro.
Protect
it literally
the land.
sounded like it was at... it sounded like it was at like half speed. It was half the speed that it should have probably been played. And just like chorus-wise, verse-wise, man, it was some pretty boring shit.
So, it felt incredibly uninspired. It just felt flat. It felt like... And my understanding, the whole impetus for this is what's going on in the world and with the... all this kind of stuff, and they're all fired up about it. So I would have thought that they would come out with like a really, like a fucking like a BYOB type track, or like a prison song, something that's like really intense and in your face. They're like, we feel very strongly about this, and the music and the urgency is reflected in that, rather than like a droning, boring, like folky song by their standards that just really didn't grab me or shake me at all. Like, it was entirely forgettable, dude. Yeah, if you hummed the riff right now, I would not recognize that song. So forgettable.
I could do the chorus melody, but I couldn't give you the verse at all right now or anything. But I think what you're saying there as well, and the problem with this is, right, these people who play in these bands that, you know, when they're young, they have so much of that, like, youthful energy and that youthful anger that exists when you're a young person, and these bands try to replicate it. They try to bring that same sort of, like, raw aggression and passion that they made 20 years ago, and it just doesn't compute, dude. It doesn't work. You know, System of a Down doing these tracks, they were, in my opinion, I don't think they ever could have sounded like them from 10, 15, 20 years ago. Like, I just don't think it's feasibly possible for, I'd say, majority of musicians, that they can't do it. Any, like, angry band, any, like, loud, angry band that their whole thing is about being, like, angry, you know, about something, be it, you know, and it comes through in the lyrics or just the general vibe. I feel like those bands, majority of the time, when they get older, it just doesn't compute. It just doesn't work. It doesn't sort of, you know, stay up. And these dudes, you know, as well, like System of a Down, they're fucking rich now. You know what I mean? Like, they're not the same guys that they were when they were in their young 20s. You know, they're well-off dudes that have been famous for years. They could do a world tour right now and, you know, make millions of dollars. You know what I mean? It's not the same sort of, like, Armenian dudes that, you know, had nothing back in the day.
Yeah,
and
dude.
I think there's a lot of bands as well.
And I think because when they came onto the scene, they were pushing the envelope by bringing all these unique rhythms and this intensity.
Absolutely.
Like, they were fresh and they were different and exciting. And this, it just sounds so tired, man. They all sound tired. Musically, they just sound exhausted. Like, if you told me that they'd been touring day in, day out, non-stop since Toxicity, and they put out these tracks, I'd say, yeah, that's a band that's just defeated. Like, they don't have anything left in the tank. Like, maybe the idea of it is that it's like a sad, maybe that's what they were going for.
No, but not even, bro, because, like Aerials, you know, Aerials, it's like almost like a ballad. Like, it's so emotional, you know, like the singing in the verse, the singing in the chorus. It's like that epicness that System of a Down do, but it's super emotional, and, like, it makes you feel something. And this chorus, it feels like they were obviously trying to go for that sort of vibe, but none of that emotion is there.
But yeah, it just didn't hit. And I think a large part of that, and a comment that someone else made, was that it felt like Serge was relegated to the back seat in terms of vocals. Like, his vocals were quite low in the mix, and it was Darren was much more prominent in the mix. And I said,
that's my problem.
And I was like, well, because it feels like it's just a Scars on Broadway song, and Serge is doing guest backing vocals on it. So it's not a System of a Down song at all in that sense. It's just, here's something Darren put together with his own project in mind, and he happened to donate it to System of a Down for a cause that fit their needs at the time.
It's 100% my problem with, like, anything that was past, like, anything. What was the two albums that they brought out? Hypnotize
and Mesmerize.
Yeah, like, those albums that they brought out is when I started being like, oh, I don't really like System of a Down anymore, because Darren took so much more of a in your face with the vocals, and I don't like him as a singer, and, like, I think he just doesn't do it for me at all. And for the fact that, you know, the shit on those albums, but definitely this song as well, like, Serge and him are, like, harmonizing or, like, layering their vocals pretty much on everything. It sucks. It doesn't have any impact, you know? It doesn't make me go, wow, this is really cool or whatever, or there's some cool dynamics here between the two singers.
It literally
just sounds like both
thing.
of them are just fucking singing at the same time.
That's it, dude. Because that's what I felt always was like a compelling draw card of theirs, is you had the dynamic of, like, Darren being like the super out there, almost like cartoony voice, and then Serge, which was this, like, super intense and almost, like, at times, like, operatic presence. Yes. And it felt like he was like the logical side of it, and Darren was like the wacky artsy side of it. But it together just made for such an interesting thing. And I that's right. That's very true. I didn't think about it like that. Like the fact that it's just all them singing at the same time in this really unexciting way.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking boring, man. Such a letdown.
This is where I wonder about these bands if they have producers in the studio. Like,
and how much are these producers getting paid? Are they getting paid so much that they're not going to say, "Boys, this is fucking garbage," or are they just in awe of it and they're like, "Oh, System of a Down.
I don't know.
It's incredible.
I don't know,
they're
but
all in the
like,
same room together. It's great."
It could be either way, right? It could be literally that there's someone that's like, "Nah, this is really good," like producing them being like, "Nah, this is perfect. This sounds great," or they just don't have a producer at all. I feel like they might not have a producer.
That's what it sounds like.
They've just thrown this track together. And I honestly think, and this is not just for like these guys, but I think a lot of bands, especially when they get older or they start maybe, you know, becoming that little bit tired or whatever, you get a producer in that can sort of give you that constructive feedback around, guys, this isn't very good. Or, you know, maybe you should think about doing something like this here or like that there. Like, I think, was it Some Kind of Monster?
Yeah.
How they had that producer and
Bob
like
Rock.
the whole documentary, Bob Rock, and the whole documentary was pretty much just bagging like him out or how it didn't work between Metallica and Bob Rock or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that documentary maybe gave producers in metal and hard rock or whatever a bad name.
Yeah.
You know, because when you think of producers, you think of like mainstream pop artists or rappers or, you know, just anyone that is, you know, really, really famous. Oh yeah, I've got a producer. But you don't really think about it for rock bands because you go, nah, but they'll just write all their own tracks.
Yeah, it's just
you know?
heavy
And
riffs.
It's true.
Heavy riffs.
Yeah.
Blast beats. That's all you need.
Exactly. But yeah, but at the same time, I still think it's important that you have someone in there that can give you that feedback at that level. Not just some bloke, not just like a System of a Down fan. Because I checked some of the comments on YouTube, MT. Majority of the comments I saw on these System of a Down tracks, people liked it.
Super positive,
like,
which is...
really?
That's why, dude, I get the impression, like with the Tool stuff, they could have released Maynard farting on a snare drum for 90 minutes with reverb.
Absolutely.
And people would have been like,
Yeah.
it's the next... They've reached the next fucking dimension of songwriting.
Yeah.
This is incredible. And I think that people have... But obviously, from what I'm saying, have got that way with System of a Down. They just... They could have released absolutely anything. And in this case, it feels like they've released a B-side demo that was laying around in Darren's fucking computer somewhere. And it sounds like he's written everything. So he's just like, hey, Shavo, here's a bass track. Record this at home or wherever. Hey, John, here's hey, everyone, here's your parts. Do them. And then I'll just do lead vocals over it all. And off we go. It'll be huge. It'll be a big hit.
Yeah, it's whatever. I didn't mind the other track.
The other one was
as much.
Yeah, it was a big improvement, but it still felt like like a weak. Even as a
weak.
Scars on Broadway track, it would be weak compared to the first album they put out. Like the opening track on the first album, Serious, I want to say it was called, was like a bit like
I've never listened to them,
more
so I don't
energetic,
know.
a bit more. It was just more solid. Cool, more interesting playing from everyone. None of the performances are very interesting on either of those tracks.
I like the black metal riff in the second track. How it had like that whole black metal bit. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But once again, like it just sounded like they threw it in there. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the problem as well with both tracks, and definitely the single is like, I don't know, there's no real flow to it either. It's just like verse, and then they destroy the land, like just chorus out of nowhere, and you're just like, all right,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, well, because and dude, you know what it feels like? It just feels like an incomplete jam, and having obviously we both have experience in putting together songs that start out just as a jam, and then you refine it and you put it through the sieve. And you refine it and you do that process. It feels like it's not all the way refined. It feels like they had a jam, they had an idea, and they're like, oh, that's good enough. Should we refine it? Nah, it's good enough.
Yeah. This should have been kept in the vault.
Yeah,
It should have
absolutely.
been kept in the vault.
Dude,
It should have been
aged
like
like
a track,
a fine
yeah,
wine.
it should have been like, okay, someone found this MP3 maybe in 20 years and be like, oh, look at this like B-side, it's whatever, but still, if you're a System of a Down fanatic, you might want it in your library, but really it's not that good. Like,
Yep. Yeah,
it should be just one of those tracks. you know. But
It's a
it is
deep
what it
cut.
is.
It is not a lead single.
No, not at all. So I guess, you know, we didn't really define, like, besides Sode, what the topic was. But the topic is, I guess, like, yeah, bands that, like, overstayed their welcome, or possibly even the opposite, bands that have been able to stay super consistent throughout their time. I definitely have a band that I want to bring up for, you know, staying consistent.
Yep.
Or actually they dropped, but they got consistent. And there's a couple in mind that I go, oh, you should have given up a while ago.
Yeah.
Was there anyone in particular that you had in mind besides Sode?
Yeah, two that I would say stayed consistent and really impressive. One would be Iron Maiden. I think that's quite an impressive track record and ability to stick to their line and consistently deliver the goods. Another one that comes to mind. Are
they still going hot?
I believe so. Yeah,
going?
I think Bruce. Bruce, the singer, had cancer or something at some point, but he had leukemia. I want to say, but then he beat it.
No shit.
Of course he did, and he's still jetting around like an absolute boss.
Yeah. All right. That is skits. That Iron Maiden are still going, especially because, like, the vocals. Like, as a singer, I listen to fucking, you know, Iron Maiden vocals, and I go, what? He's probably in his 60s, like mid to late 60s.
Absolutely.
Now, and he's still fucking, you know, doing those high notes, those high vibrato, fucking falsetto, and
62.
You know, dude, how old?
62.
Yeah, dude, that is crazy. Like, I'm 28. And I haven't got my range that I fucking had when I was in, you know, my early 20s. Like, the amount of practice and maintenance and caretaking that Bruce would have to do on his voice to keep it in that shape for fucking 40, 50 years.
Yeah, it's absurd, man.
Crazy, dude.
The other one that I think of that just came to mind, and I did forget and it's come back to me, is I think Amon Amarth.
Oh, yeah. I never got into them.
Well, they've been very consistent
because everyone was into it.
Yeah, I loved them, and they've been very, very consistent. And that's one with the much more of a the heavy vocal style, which must just be absolute like a nightmare to consistently do for. And they've been around for well over 20 years.
Wow, now.
Yeah.
Have you seen them live?
Yeah, a couple of times, and they absolutely
good?
blew my mind live. Super, unbelievably consistent live. I've seen them 3 or 4 times now, I think. So that
that's a lot.
What do you got? Who came to mind for you?
Well, okay. Well, look, I think this is definitely like a bit of it is a comment that can be applied to a lot of metal bands, and you know, you're right. Iron Maiden, you know, they're still killing it. I haven't listened to their studio stuff though, and to be fair, to be honest, and this might shock some people, you know, I was never a massive Iron Maiden fan. So
me neither, dude. I know the hits. I know a couple of hits.
Yeah. Exactly, right? So I can't be like, I don't know what their new albums sound like. You know what I mean? I know they kill it live still, but I don't know what their new albums sound like. And to me, that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. But a band that I think should have probably given up a while ago is Slayer.
Oh, dude, you know? Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Like, there's only so many times you can put out the same riff, eh? And the same solo.
You were there, right, when we saw him live at Rod Laver?
I wasn't. That was in 05 with Mastodon, and I was not at that show.
Yes.
I did not get permission from my mum.
Oh, bloody mum.
I went
bloody Annette.
Yeah, I went the following time when they played with Megadeth, and Tom had laryngitis.
Shit.
He just didn't sing for half the set.
All right. So, you know, obviously every metalhead knows the stories of how crazy Slayer mosh pits were. You know, back in like, oh my god, bro, Slayer mosh pits are so brutal. There's nothing like it in the world. So there I was, however old I was, right? In my teens.
You were like 13 or 14, I think.
Okay. Cool.
Probably about year 8.
Going to the Slayer gig, you know, and I've got these big fucking expectations in my head around, oh my god, this is going to be the most brutal shit ever. I'm going to go in the pit. It's going to be crazy. yeah, doing my stretches, like just getting warm, just hitting myself against walls to just like get ready. And Mastodon played and they killed it. They were so good.
Dude, that
Mastodon
was like their prime.
sick.
That was like Blood Mountain era as well.
Yeah. It was when Blood Mountain came out, and I was deep into Mastodon at that time as well.
They were
that
so
was actually
good, man.
really
That was
good.
like the prime of their career by far. That then Crack the Sky. Everything
Crack the
else,
Sky was good too.
Take a Hike. Those two albums,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Although I did listen to some of the new tracks that they dropped a new track recently
Yep.
because they're bringing out another album. Dude, I fucking love Mastodon music. I hate the vocals now.
Yeah, I don't like
Because-
them. I
Once again, the drummer now does the main vocals. And it was cool when he first did vocals and he did like the little,
did like
chorus
did
or
a
vocal
few
part
portions.
here
Yeah,
and there.
yeah.
Yeah, but now that he's singing entire tracks,
He's
and
got such a bland voice.
it's super bland, and I forget the main dude.
Troy.
What's the main dude's name? Like Troy. Like
Bran is the drummer.
yeah, I know Troy can't do the same vocals anymore. I know he fucked his voice. Like I read about that, but still, like old school Mastodon vocals were fucking cool.
Yeah,
like, they were
dude.
Like, what? And new vocals like. He's trying to do that sort of stuff, but he just can't.
Yeah,
and like
dude.
I can't blame him because he fucked his voice. You know what I mean? But still, I was listening to the new Mastodon track and fucking love the music, bro.
Okay, I'll
Love
have to
the
check
music,
it
but
out
the
because
vocals-
from what I heard, that
Check it out.
like the Hunter and stuff like that, it just felt like messy
Hunter
psychedelic
sucked.
garbage. Yeah, it was just
the
a
Hunter
mess.
sucked, but this new track's alright.
Okay.
This new track's pretty good, dude.
Yeah,
It's got this one bit in it that is like, like heavy, like real,
I'm gonna check it out now.
like you just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you
Like,
mean.
It's just
I know-
fucking, it's
okay.
one of those bits that you just like, oh fuck yeah, like it's really good. It's a really good bit. Yeah. Anyway,
I'll have to check
going
it
back.
out.
So yeah, Mastodon killed it, and then Slayer came out, and I was prepped, man. I was so ready, and they played, and it was just so mediocre, bro. And the pit. I was in there with fucking 40-year-old Slayer fans that, had patched up vests, and I was like, what's this bullshit? I've had stronger fucking moshes at Evie's youth centre with fucking 16-year-old girls there to see their favourite pedophiliac hardcore band.
When you've seen a ska band,
Yeah, like I've had harder moshes from the fucking from the ska bands at fucking Evie's youth centre, bro. Like,
yeah, dude, it's
Seriously,
it's a massive load of shit, man. The stuff, yeah, dude. I felt the same way every time. And I've seen Slayer like 6 times, and yeah,
6 times.
Yeah, dude, I've seen them.
Why keep going back and seeing Slayer, bro?
Well, I saw them one. I may have seen them twice by themselves, and then I feel like I just saw that they just played like Soundwave a zillion times, or like Big Day Out. I would just see them at festivals and stuff like that, but. Yeah, dude, massive load of shit. Like an absolute,
to rest, boys.
just a hype train. Another good example of
is.
that type of behavior was Cannibal Corpse. Seeing them, and I was getting nervous. I was getting all pumped up. I was like, "Fuck, I'm ready to get a bit of time off work for a concussion because it's gonna be mental." And yeah, dude, it's just a whole bunch of like geriatric metalheads. Like, yeah, this is sick.
But
Yeah, cool.
and that's the thing, bro. Maybe 20 years ago it was brutal, but now these bands, their fan base has aged with them, and they
Yeah,
don't
dude.
get
Oh,
hurt,
actually, yeah.
you know?
Funny that you mentioned that. A great example of that type of behavior is I saw Carcass at 170 Russell, formerly known as Billboards, and it was like a Monday night. And halfway through the show, the singer Bill, I want to say his name is, singer bass player, he was like, "This is garbage," and he walked off stage, and he was gone for like 10 minutes, and then came back and finished the show because he was just like, he was like, "Is anyone awake? Is anyone into this at all?" Whole crowd. I was one of them. I was like, "Dude, it's Monday. I've worked all day and I got work tomorrow. Why are you doing a show on a Monday night?" And no one was drinking. Well, yeah, there were people drinking because the diehards. But yeah, dude, crowd was flat as a tack, and he was commenting on it. He was like, "This is bullshit," and I was like, "Yeah, dude, it's almost like it's a Monday night."
Yeah,
But also,
holy shit.
you're like, you're also like in your 50s, dude. Your fan base is a
Holy
bit
fuck.
older. No one really cares.
Yeah.
So pack it in.
Wow.
If you're doing shows and you're complaining at the show, pack it in, man. Stop doing shows if you're not
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah. Okay. I got a band that I think lost it, and they should have given up. But then I'm glad they didn't give up, and now they actually like killing it.
Success story. What do you got?
Cradle of Filth.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. What a good example, dude. So fucking legit. Go on.
Like, their early stuff was obviously, like, the best. Like, I will swear till the day I die, the early Cradle of Filth is probably, like, some of the best fucking hard rock, hard metal, whatever you want to call it, alternative music, like, black metal as well. Like, it was definitely black metal at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Like, crazy. I loved Cradle of Filth. And then, you know, I don't know what album 4, 5 or whatever, they started to lose it. And Danny fucked his voice up and they went super mainstream.
Yeah, I remember thinking at that point that I was like, it's all over. I was like, he will never be able to scream again. Like, he's
Yeah. So that was, and I remember watching shows from those years just being like, oh, it's not very good.
Yeah.
I was like the song, I remember they dropped an album. I don't know which album. Maybe it was Thornography. That album sucked. They dropped Thornography, or maybe it was the one after, who knows. And, like, the riffs were just, like, it was like, once again, it was like a System of a Down thing. It was like they had just tried to sound like themselves. So it was like an imitation of themselves, right? So the riffs were fucking just poor. Danny was just, he was trying, but he just couldn't do it. And it was like, okay, you guys need to give up. The live shows were not good. I was like, please just stop. Then what happened is that miraculously Danny fixes his voice to maybe like 70, 80%, not 100%, but I mean like 70, pretty good, 70, 75%. They boot out the 2 guitarists.
Yeah.
Or they leave. 2 new guitarists come in and they get a new drummer as well, right? And the last 2 albums have had these 2 new guitarists and Danny, like, you know, pretty good at vocals and this new drummer. And holy shit, bro. Dude. It's the best fucking Cradle of Filth material I've fucking heard in years.
Those most recent 2 albums are
killer.
Unbelievable. When they put out the video for the Right Wing of the Garden triptych, I don't know how to pronounce that word.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Blew my mind. And I saw them twice when they toured both of those albums, I think. The second most recent and the most recent. And live, it was spot on. 100%. I couldn't fault it. Like, all the band members were unbelievable. Danny was on point. His screams were unbelievable. Yeah, dude, that's actually a really good example of going up, down, and then right back up.
Yeah. And, like, I see it all the time. Like, people that were, you know, Cradle of Filth fans, but they weren't. They're like, holy shit, this stuff is, like, really good. It's like, this reminds me of, like, their early stuff. And 100%, I think the 2 guitarists that they got in just really fucking love Cradle of Filth. Yeah. They, you know, they just, like, love it. And also they're amazing guitarists.
Yeah.
And they don't want to just recycle shit. They're like, they just know, okay, what the Cradle of Filth sound should be.
Yeah, and dude. Like, and those riffs, man. Like, those melodic riffs. They're
really good.
Are so good.
Really good riffs.
So, yeah, just super memorable. Very, like, get stuck in your head in the best possible way. After one listen, I'd be, later that day, I'd be like, oh, that riff, man. Ah!
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, seriously. So I'm looking forward to their next album as well. Yeah. I think it's going to be an absolute banger.
Yep.
Other bands, I've got some examples of some bands that sort of quit when they knew when to quit, sort of, in a really dire, sort of morbid sort of way. But, you know, Dissection? No. Or Dissection?
No.
Black metal band. So, black metal band, they were, like, one of the pioneers of, like, melodic black metal.
Oh, okay.
Like, they did a lot of, like, really melodic black metal riffs, like, back in the, you know, like, mid-90s. They were hanging out with fucking, you know, Burzum, Darkthrone, all those boys. Yeah. They were a Norwegian band. Norwegian, I think. Or maybe they were Swedish. But they were, like, friends with those dudes anyway. Like, they were all, you know. And one of their first albums is, like, super renowned. Like, it's like, when people mention, like, melodic black metal, they go, yeah, sweet, this album's dope.
Anyway, the dude in Metal Mayhem would give you the nod if you brought it up, kind of thing. Yeah, pretty much. The singer, I think he went to prison. Oh,
he went to prison for something. Who knows? He's full Satanist, like full like worships the devil.
Yeah.
Got out of prison. They released one more album to like acclaim. Like people were like, "Yo, this is fucking awesome!" Like people love it. And then the singer, he killed himself.
Oh, okay.
And he left a note, and he was like, "Hey, I didn't kill myself because I was sad. I killed myself because I just released like the best album. I'm so fucking happy. Life legitimately couldn't get any better. So I'm just going to end it now because I know life will never be better than this point."
No shit.
And he killed himself. And he was like, "Hail Satan, and I'll see you later." And that was legit what he did. Pretty crazy.
That's an interesting take on it. That's very interesting.
Yeah. And then sort of like a similar thing happened as well. You know the Devil's Blood?
Mm-mm.
Oh, man.
Hit me
Devil's
with all
Blood.
this obscure fucking deep cut shit, man.
Yeah, bro.
How the fans going to relate to any of this?
Well, they can check these bands out.
Yeah, it's true.
They can check them out. They've got interesting stories. You know, Devil's Blood, similar sort of thing, right? The dude was a big black metal musician, but he started this project called the Devil's Blood that did like psychedelic rock and blew up out of nowhere. Like they were from the Netherlands. They got huge, like had all this backing and support from like pretty much the metal scene. They used to play with black metal bands all the time and stuff. And once again, this dude, super Satanist or Satanist or yeah.
I think that's what, yeah.
Yeah, Satanist. That's how you say it. Anyway, and his sister was on vocals. And they just released like really great psychedelic rock music. They released 3 albums. And similar thing, the guitarist, his name was like Salim. He was like, "All right, I've released the 3 albums in the trilogy. It's not really anything left that I want to do. So I'm going to kill myself too. And that'll be the end of the band." Killed himself too. And his sister was just like, that's what he wanted to do. He, like, we sort of knew that after the 3 albums, that was going to be it. And yeah, ended his life. And those guys, the singer, the sister, and the rest of the band, like disbanded. But then like recently, like 6 months ago, they got back together under a different name completely and released music now. And it sounds similar, but it's different. But they don't use like the Devil's Blood to try and get them any clout. They're not like, "Yo, we're the Devil's Blood."
Devil's Blood in all of their press releases. Yeah.
They're like so low key about it. They're just
okay.
like, I think they've got maybe like a couple thousand listens on Spotify and stuff like that. Like super low key.
Oh, cool. Well, dude, speaking of low key, but then ended up being high key, another good example, possibly. Although I'm not super familiar with their most recent material, but Behemoth is a good example of a band that's gone the distance in a big way, man. Nurgle started that when he was like 15 or 16, and has not stopped since.
Dude, it feels like they release an album every like year.
Dude, I honestly can't keep up. Yeah, it's like a Harry Potter
and they're
thing.
touring every day of their life.
Yeah.
That's a really good one, actually.
Yeah.
Bro, I saw fucking Behemoth. Dude, it was my first gig ever. My first show that I ever went to, I think I was probably, 12?
You were, I think you were, 12 or 13. And I remember I was super jealous because you didn't get asked for ID because you looked basically how you do now when you were 12.
It was underage. It was underage. It was an underage show. It was an underage show.
As if. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was overage and you went and you didn't get asked for ID.
No, it was an underage show. I promise you.
I'm gonna look that up.
I promise you.
I doubt you.
Yeah,
I doubt you, LD. Because you
Don't
could have been
anyway.
you could have been going to overage shows when you were 13.
I did go to over 18 show. I used to, and I can say this because the venue's not around anymore. I used to get into overage shows at the Art House when the Art House was still around.
Ah,
you
yeah, yeah. I only went there once or twice.
Yeah, great venue. A lot of fucking metal bands played there. Black metal. I saw a fucking sick black metal show there actually once. Like full, every band was in corpse paint and like hailed Satan. It was fucking sick. It was really, really cool. I didn't get asked for ID there. But yeah, Behemoth at Tote, bro. First show, and I headbanged the entire time, and I literally had a migraine for like 2 days after that. Like, I think I might have had internal bleeding in my skull. It was fucked up.
Don't you think headbanging is a weird thing to do when you think about it? Because you're not watching the band at all.
Bro. It's cool when you have long hair, but if you have short hair, headbanging is dumb.
Even when you have long hair, though, you headbang the whole show. Nurgle could have been trying to get your attention to throw you a guitar pick, bro, and you missed it.
Yeah.
So you're busy banging your head.
Yeah, I know. Who else played that show? Psychroptic?
Oh,
who
yeah.
I didn't really know at the time, but like they're
Tasmanian.
fucking Aussie legends.
Yep.
The Fura, which were I think also a Tasmanian black metal band.
that
They
rings
were
a bell.
actually sick.
Yeah.
They were like old school black metal, and then someone else played too. I don't know. But yeah, bro, good shit. You're right though, man. Not only do they release an album every second day, Nurgle also owns and runs a barbershop in
Is he?
Poland. Yep. And he also, like, have you seen his Instagram, dude? He's like a new age yoga fiend. He loves yoga.
Really? Well,
He
I
loves yoga.
seem to recall something about, I don't know if he was already into it, but with his battle with leukemia, I recall reading something like he got right into that kind of stuff. Like he got uber fit in the wake of that. I'm sure he was never out of shape. He was always an in shape guy, but I remember seeing he was getting right into that kind of fitness, like all the holistic kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which seems to
But
be
what
really
a
good.
fucking legend for coming back from that too. Like, he was going to die, and he was like, nah, I'm not going to die.
Yeah,
And
disagree.
he fucking comes back, and he just is like, well, I'm just going to tour all the time and release albums all the fucking time and be fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah, super boss man, and that's a good example of a dude that cops a lot of flack from the elitist dickheads that aren't happy with the fact that they produce so much merchandise. They do things like they put
Really?
out their own. I think they put out their own beer, their own coffee beans, all sorts of stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is just disgusting! I can't believe you're doing this with your band." And it's like, if the dude loves coffee and he produces Behemoth coffee, and his fans like coffee, and they want to buy that, I don't see the problem. Seems like if he was producing, I don't know, some kind of garbage product, like if he was, but all the stuff that
even then.
well, even then, yeah, I still wouldn't care personally. But the fact that the alleged fans get upset by him putting out jewelry and stuff like that with the band's brands on it, if you're not into it, don't buy it. But they all feel very entitled to a firm and loud opinion on their page, and they get very upset.
That's just stupid, isn't it? Like, what's the difference between a band releasing coffee and then a t-shirt? It's the same shit, bro.
Either way,
You're making
it's just
something
another
to sell to people.
avenue to support the band.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't like it, yeah, don't buy it. That's fine. Someone else will.
Yeah.
Whatever. Cool.
I think we've done this subject nicely, dude.
I like it. Yeah, it was good, bro. Let us know in the comments any bands that you think have overstayed their welcome, or maybe you've got some bands as well that you think have killed it. You know, they continue to kill it, or maybe like Cradle, they dipped. They should have left, but then they didn't leave, and you're like, oh, but then they killed it and they came back. And
I want more
it.
good
Let
dip
us know.
stories. I like a dip story. That's good. We'll keep our eyes peeled for
I'm
those.
sure there's more out there. I'm gonna try and think of something. I think maybe we could make like a little bit of a part 2 about this, or something similar to this too. So, thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, whatever. Or if you listen on Spotify, I don't know, probably favorite us or something, or put on notifications so you know when we upload. But yeah, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks very much. Bye.